right, 9.4 is direct, joint, and inverse variation. So direct variation says that y varies directly as x if there is some non-zero constant k such that y equals kx. And k is the constant of variation. So when we go to solve these guys, we're going to solve them as y1 over y2 equals, y1 over x1 equals y2 over x2. So it says right there, if y varies directly as x and y equals negative 15 when x equals 5, then find y when x equals 3. So what I do is I just go through and I give these first ones I see are 1s. And then these guys I'm going to give subscripts of 2. And then I'm going to set up my proportion. Negative 15 over 5 equals y over 3. And then I'm going to solve this guy for y. So I'm going to cross multiply. Negative 45 equals 5y. So I can divide by 5. So y equals negative 9. In chemistry, you may have seen this as Charles' law. And Charles' law says that the volume of a given mass of gas varies directly with the absolute temperature of the gas when the pressure is kept constant. So the pressure is the K. So there's Charles' law. So you've probably seen that before in chemistry. All right, so that's direct variation. Notice in direct variation, I'm dividing my variables. All right, joint variation. Joint variation says that y varies jointly as x and z if there is some number k such that y equals kxz, where k, x, and z cannot be equal to 0. Notice that in joint variation there's 3 variables. I'm still dividing them, but there's 3. So y varies jointly as x and z. So y1 over x1 z1 equals y2 over x2 z2. Same thing, I'm going to give everybody a 1 and a 2. So it says suppose y varies jointly as x and z. Find y when x is 10 and z is 5, if y is 12, when z is 8, and x is 3. Alright, so here we go, y1. That's what I'm looking for. Over 10 times 5 equals 12 over 3 times 8. Again, I'm going to cross multiply to solve. 3 times 8 is 24 times y, so 24y is equal to 10 times 5 times 12. So 600. So divide by 24 to solve for y. So y equals 25. All right, one last one. Inverse variation. Inverse variation says y varies inversely as x if there's some non-zero constant k such that x times y equals k or y equals k divided by x. Notice I'm multiplying here, so x times y equals x times y. Okay, so number 3 says, if A varies inversely as B, and A equals negative 6 when B equals 2, find A when B equals negative 7. Okay, so this time I'm going to multiply my variables. So negative 6 times 2 is equal to A times negative 7. negative 7a. Divide by negative 7. So a is 12 sevenths. From chemistry, you might have seen this as Boyle's law. So Boyle's law states that the pressure of a given quantity of gas varies inversely with its volume at a constant temperature. So P1 V1 equals P2 V2. Okay, number 4. State whether each equation represents direct, joint, or inverse variation, and then state the constant of variation. All right, well, look at the difference between the three of them. If we solve for k and get k by itself, or the number by itself, or constant by itself, it's easier to see. So direct variation, if I solve this guy for k, I'm dividing my variables. In joint variation, it's the only one with 3 variables, so I can solve for k and I'm dividing them there, or you can just look for more than 2 variables. And then finally, in inverse variation, I'm multiplying my variables. All right, so look at 4 there. So state whether each is direct, joint, or inverse, then state the constant of variation. So if I get this guy by himself, it'll be easy to find the constant of variation. But also notice, I have a divided by b times c equals 5. Well, there's 3 of them there, so I'm going to say that's joint variation. And my constant then is 5. Okay, 3 equals b over a. So my variables my numbers by himself. I'm dividing my variables. I always notice that that's a d, so dividing and direct. So my constant then is 3. All right, 2.5 divided by t. I'm going to get the number by himself. So s times t. I'm not dividing my variables. I'm multiplying my variables. So this guy is inverse variation. And my constant is 2.5. So it's easier if you get your variables by, or the constant, the number by itself and the variables on the one side, then it'll make it a whole lot easier.